Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Sheldon Alt with CropX. Thank you so much for joining. Tonight, I've also got Mr. John Gates with me on the line, our VP of Product. John, are you there?
Hi, Sheldon. Hi, everybody.
Hey, John. Thanks so much for joining. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Great.
Glad to be here.
Great. Well, hey, we're gonna jump right in here, and want to keep this right at 30 minutes for you guys. I know you guys are extremely busy, and hopefully things are going well for you today. So so why are you guys here tonight, and why are John and I here to talk to you? Well, just very simply, CropX is a precision irrigation company that focuses on helping growers produce more yield more efficiently, which ultimately results in a higher yield, or excuse me, a higher return on investment. So like what we're going to talk about tonight is how you take your irrigation game to the next level. How do you maximize that irrigation system that you have, whether it be center pivot or drip or furrow irrigation? How do you take this to the next level? And that's exactly what John and I are going to talk to you about tonight. I also think it's really important to reflect on where you've been. No matter the path you're on or what your goals are and where you're headed. I think it's extremely important to reflect on the past and where you've been, and that's exactly what we're going to do here, real quick. Is where did we start? Where did this company start? And actually, we started on the farm. So back in 2009, our founder Nick Emanuel, who was a farmer, was not happy with some of the yields that he was getting on his irrigated acres. And he tried a lot of variable rate fertilizer, he tried a lot of variable rate seeding, and he just still was not happy with some of the yield results and profitability that he was seeing on some of these fields. But he started to notice a few things when he was looking at what I call fixed variables, things that you as a producer cannot change, such as soil type or slope or elevation. He noticed that there was a strong correlation to the areas that had a different soil type and to some of the yield performance issues that he was seeing. So whether it was a drouthy spot, so a sandier spot in the field that seemed to produce more in a wet year, but in a dry year, those sandy areas really just fell off. And Nick noticed this on his own farm. So he had a problem, and he thought of the solution. So he was like, well, if I'm doing variable rate seeding, if I'm doing variable rate fertilizer, but I'm noticing that these areas are still showing up, why don't I use water to help address some of those trouble areas in my field? And that's exactly what he did. So Nick developed the very first commercially available variable rate irrigation prescription platform. So once he started playing with variable rate water and putting the right amount of water on the right area, he really saw a nice correlation, because does it really make sense to put the same amount of water on your drouthiest ground as it does your heaviest ground? And to Nick, the answer was no. So from there, he started implementing some infield hardware, like soil moisture sensors that were reporting back directly to the cloud. And he could view it right there on this desktop. So, for the last 10 plus years, we've really been on the farm working with growers all over the US, helping them make more money with their irrigation system. So we've taken all that knowledge from Nick's farm, and all over the US, and then we've really brought it up to speed with other technology platforms and ease of use, to where really it's all really just all on one platform. We've got a really nice, easy mobile app, and a lot of the stuff that used to be a little harder to do back in the day, we've really just made it extremely easy and slick, for the producer in mind. This is built by growers for growers. So let me give you one example here of just how important water is and how much it really impacts yield. This is a trial that we did, or just a scenario from 2019. And if you look at these two maps here, the map on the left is a yield map, and that should look pretty familiar to a lot of you. Where the red areas is a lower yielding, lower producing area, and the green and blue are higher yielding areas. So ideally, we would want this whole map to be, blue and green, right? We'd want it to look nice. But there's that pesky area that's really deep dark red that I have highlighted there. So we take a look at the other image on the right-hand side, and this is the same exact field, but we're just looking at elevation now. And where the blue area is, the dark blue area is the lowest spot of the field, and the red and the other colors are a little bit higher or average. So right off the bat, very, very clearly, you can see that the elevation on this field where that low spot is, that blue spot, is really a trouble yielding area for us. And a lot of it is due to water. Because when this grower was irrigating, a lot of the water would go in that area and go down and run off, and it'd fill up that area and it'd pond. And that's not good. So not only by implementing the CropX technology were we able to save this producer 2 revolutions of his pivot, we also fixed a field issue that was related to water that he had, which had a combined value of roughly $7,000. This producer was extremely happy with the fact that we were able to save him a little bit of water and save 2 revolutions, but also fix a field issue that he had. So that was really important.
And Sheldon,
So,
in terms of economics there, that's just to point out, that's a year 1 value, right? At this point, you're now on this same system that produces this same kind of increased profitability just year in and year out.
Yeah, that's a great point, John. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, this was just year 1. But you're exactly right. When we can implement these types of solutions year in and year out, is really valuable, because you're not going to have the same weather year in and year out. And if this farmer, I believe this farmer is rotating corn and soybeans, corn and soybeans are irrigated differently. So that value payout is still there year after year. So let's take a peek real quick at, there's a couple things here what happens to when it comes to irrigation. And a bad thing would be if we were like underwatering, right? A lot of you probably remember the drought of 2012. That was not good. That was very detrimental to the Corn Belt and the whole U.S. But this is what happens. This is what happens when we don't get enough irrigation. And this is why we irrigate, right? We don't want to see these pictures here on the right-hand side. It's just not good. And when you have the CropX system, we're able to show that to you in a data-driven way, so you don't have to be out driving to those fields every single day. Yeah, the visual aspect is important, but we're taking this data to help you make decisions a lot easier. So you can see here on this soil moisture status indicator bar that we're dry. We're on that lower end of the spectrum of soil moisture, and that's not good. We don't want to be there. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, I'm sure you guys have seen drown out fields before, where corn is flooded. That's not good either. Not only are you losing some yield there, but you're also losing some money when it comes to leaching of nutrients. That's not good. And overwatering has as much, if not more, detrimental effect to that crop as underwatering. It can be the same thing. So again, we're depicting this here on that soil moisture status indicator bar, and we're on the top end of the spectrum there. It's very wet. We are as full as we can be. And there's so many factors that go into the water holding capacity on your field. There's tillage, there's crop rotation, whether or not you're implementing cover crops on your field. And also, of course, soil type, slope, compaction. So there's many, many, many factors that go into water on your field. Um, and if you're an irrigator, how do you know when it's time to irrigate? Given there's so many factors to it. And I've been all over the country, from Southeast Georgia out to Nebraska, Northern Michigan. And I ask a lot of these growers that I meet, how do you know when it's time to irrigate? And there's one thing that consistently pops up, and that is, Heidi ho, neighbor. When my neighbor runs, I run. And that might be all right, but what if your neighbor's Tim the Toolman Taylor, right? He's been known to get in some antics and probably not make the best decisions before. But all joking aside, what other factors do growers look at when irrigating? Well, I've heard we've always done it this way. We've always irrigated, on the 4th of July, we always start, or anything else. And really, have your hybrids stayed the same when your dad was farming, your granddad? No, they've changed. They've changed tremendously in the last 5 years. I've also heard people say, well, it's hot out, right? I need to irrigate. Um, and that could be true, but um, it's very important to look at the plant available water in the root zone to be triggering those irrigations. I've also heard I don't want to get behind. That's extremely, extremely important. Rain makes grain, put her to her. Let the water flow. That's true, but is that profitable, right? And also, it's dusty out. I kick the top 2 inches of soil and it's dusty. Is that really where your active root zone is? Isn't that top 2 inches? Is that where all your nutrients is? Is that where your water is? I don't think so. I don't think so. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the CropX system in a whole?
Yep, I'd be glad to, Sheldon. So again, thanks everybody for joining in the evening time. And Sheldon was just going over some of the common decision making approaches that we hear when we talk to folks that aren't using sensors on the field yet to help schedule irrigation. And all we're trying to do here is add a little data into the mix and increase your confidence, your ability to adapt to what's actually happening underground, what that plant is experiencing, rather than some just an estimation based on the weather. Like Sheldon said, we've been at this a while. We've been developing this technology for over a decade now, and we've learned a thing or two about how to make it very, very accurate, take the guesswork out of it. We have learned how to place these things in the field in the right position to maximize the value of that data, and maybe most of all, make it simple to execute and have it just work during the season. Be a reliable tool. The insights that the sensors that we set you up with come to you. Basically, we want to send them wherever you're at, wherever you're comfortable. So we've got systems that'll work in the office for you, phone or iPad out in the field. If you just want that recommendation through a text message or an email once a day, no problem. We can get you set up with any or all of the above. The way we get you started is we will go ahead and install these sensors for you through a local certified dealer. Get those up and running. The sensor doesn't look like much, but it's reading a lot of information from both under the ground to our cloud on the internet device or your text message, so you can see what you need to see out of it. So pretty simple, pretty powerful in our experience. Slide, Sheldon, please, if you could. Sheldon was showing it's there's a lot of technology that we've got into our system system, but struggling to keep up, might even slow down. If you area, you're probably some pumping costs. You may even be doing some root damage and losing some yield that way. And so, what this whole system boils down to is a technology that's going to let you keep the plant happy in that optimal range with water all season through each and every irrigation decision. Okay, Sheldon, next one.
Well, John, I've got a quick question for you though. I mean,
Yes, please.
what what about with other crops? Is that true with even like peanuts down in Georgia or cotton down in the Delta South there? I mean, does that apply to these other crops as well?
It does. Yeah. The first couple examples that you mentioned at the beginning were corn soy rotations, and the original farm that this system got built off of is primarily in that rotation system. But yeah, like you're hinting at here, Sheldon, we've got it very generalized. We've got lots of customers and success stories in a wide range of crops. To your point, in the South, we've got peanuts and we've got rice. We got some sugar. We got plenty of wheat. Up north, we got potatoes, sugar beets. We even got a lot of customers on permanent crops and orchards and so on. So you can basically throw whatever crop type you want at us. We'll be able to accommodate. Same thing with irrigation system. We got an awful lot of customers on pivots and laterals, but we've also got an increasing number that are on fixed sprinkler systems, furrow and flood. I've got some drip customers as well.
Yeah, if the plant goes through photosynthesis, we can track water removal, right? I mean, if it's pulling water out of the soil, we can help manage it.
Yeah. The beauty of this system is you're not guessing at what the plant needs. You're measuring what the plant needs, and you're just, you watch that sensor and you get a very direct read on what's going on, no matter what that crop is. So like Sheldon mentioned, this is all about profitability. But let me just show you what's in the box. Let's say that you get up and running with some first fields on our system. What all will you experience at that time? Like I mentioned, we're going to set you up with sensors. They read at several depths under the ground. Moisture, they're going to track your root depth and your root activity over the growing season. They're going to transmit all that information up and out to us with no other additional purchases needed, no other hardware. This tool has everything it needs to communicate, stay up and running with a high capacity battery, keep those sensors reading underground. We're going to get that installed for you with local agronomic support, and that local contact of yours is going to stay in touch with you all season after that install, making sure the data is looking good, making sure that you know what you need to do for your decision making based on that information. What you will see come through in our system, whether you sign up for our text message service or use one of our apps, you'll see that soil water, and whether you're in optimal range for your plant and your crop, a little bit like we've been showing on these last few slides. You'll have access to data on whether your root activity is looking good for the point in the season or not, whether your roots are nice and deep and healthy where they need to be, or whether you got some root trouble that you need to keep an eye on. We combine all that underground data for you with above ground, so we keep it nice and simple and have all that info side by side with good quality weather data, rainfall forecast, satellite imagery, high quality imagery a couple times a week. And we use all that on our side to make our recommendations just really comprehensive and taking into account everything we can off of your field. But we'll also show all that information to you as well to help your decision process. For areas where you're managing a lot of variability within that field, whether it's because of different soil textures or whether it's because of different elevations or slopes. We do have tools available for you to manage that kind of variability. Variable rate irrigation tools, one that I've got listed on this sheet. And I could go on, but bottom line here is these are all just a means to an end. These are features and data types. Our experience here is that when this is all used together, we're able to very consistently show the types of benefits to all of our customers that Sheldon mentioned in a couple of those case studies. So, think about a yield pop, very consistently 5% and higher. Usually that's combined with some input savings on your irrigation costs as well. All right, Sheldon, next one, please. I just wanted to mention before I hand it back over here, just a little bit about what we hear from our customers. As a company, this is how we excel and succeed, working with our customers, listening closely with our customers. I just got a couple little screenshots off of social media here I'm sharing with you, one from wheat and one that's got a bunch of corn on it. But just many states, many crops here. The basic pattern that we find is that when you first hear about a technology like this, you haven't used it before, there's a lot of questions. What's the value? What's the reliability? Just what's the whole experience like in the season? And so we want to have that conversation with you. We want to step you through what that looks like in practice. Short story is it's pretty easy and we can get you up and running real quick. But what we hear from our customers after the first few fields, year or two of experience managing in season with this kind of technology, is that they don't want to go back. They don't want to go back to that time where they were guesstimating their irrigation schedule. Just a lot more confidence with this data here in your back pocket. And Sheldon, I know you work directly with a lot of these customers, so I think you can.
Yeah, I have, and I had the pleasure of working with them, and we're still working with a lot of these producers. And John's exactly right. I mean, once you get hooked on this agronomic information that we can provide you with this, I mean, it just gives you all the confidence in your world and to make those irrigation decisions. And also it's going to be a really nice positive to your pocketbook at the end of the year. So, but with that, John, we've talked a lot about this stuff, and we're talking about water management, precision water management, talking about soil moisture sensors and irrigation scheduling. But does that really work? And is it really profitable? And hopefully by now you can see by some of the examples that water is extremely impactful when it comes to yield. And if you're an irrigator, which I imagine a lot of you are, you actually have some control of that water on your field. Is there a product or a service that can help you solve an issue, but also is it profitable for you? Well, we do many trials and head-to-head studies every single year, but this one really resonates well with me because it's right in my backyard pretty much. This is the head-to-head study that we did in 2019, where we split the field in half, where the grower was able to manage the northern half of the field and irrigate whenever he wanted to based on his knowledge. And we were able to install a soil moisture sensor in the southern half and irrigate the southern half whenever the sensor told us to and our software told us to. So at the end of the year, we got the yield map back, and the yield map doesn't really tell the whole story on this field. And I remember when I got in the combine with this grower, he said, "Oh, well, I beat you. I beat you." I'm like, you beat me? What are you talking about? It didn't quite make sense. But when I looked at the as applied water map, again, we were able to manage that southern half of water of that field, and the growers managing the north. You can see here by the as applied map that there was a considerable amount less amount of water, applied to that southern half than the northern half, and about 28%. 28% less water was used on that southern half. Now, I'm sure most of you are saying, well, Sheldon, yeah, you said that the yield map, didn't tell the whole story, and the grower said that he beat you. Well, that's right. Um, it is interesting. We were able to increase the poorer half, or the southern half, the not the normally the poorer producing half of the field, up to the same production level as the northern half. I think the northern half was 229.0 oh something, and the southern half was 228.78. So I mean, there was no considerable yield difference between the northern half and the southern half. Nothing major noticeable. And when we did the calculations on profit, the southern half was about $14 more profitable per acre after paying for the CropX technology. And this is right in line with what John said. I mean, we do these head-to-head studies year in and year out, and what we find is that we're looking at roughly $10 to $50 back in the grower's pocketbook after paying for the technology. That's extremely consistent, very consistent, and it's very consistent over a lot of different crops. And I've actually seen it pay out a little bit more in furrow irrigation aspects, just because you're cutting a lot of water out, So that was 2019. But let's take a peek here real quick and think about the 2021 scenario that we're being faced with right now. There's been a lot of people that have predicted a drought for 2021, and it's going to be a pretty serious one. I don't know. It has something to do with La Nina. John, you probably know way more about that than I do, but a lot of people are predicting a pretty serious drought this year. Is it going to be as bad as 2012? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a couple other things happening too. There's a lot of inputs prices that are going up. Diesel, gasoline are on the rise. I know some of the fertilizer inputs are on the rise due to the 2020 pandemic and other things happening not only here in the U.S. but globally as well. So things are changing. There's also something else that's changing too, though, and that's the commodity prices. I'm sure everyone on this call has noticed and has been watching the commodity prices extremely close. I know we are on our own farm, and we've got the goal set pretty high this year, not only for yield, but also for maximizing profitability. We haven't seen these prices for quite some time, so we're going to try to capitalize where we can. And if you think about it, you've already spent money on your seed. You've spent probably majority of your money on your fertilizer, probably majority of your money on your any pesticide applications or anything like that, or fungicide. But is there another lever that you can pull agronomically right now this year to lower your input costs and make them more efficient and capitalize on this market rally that we're seeing right now? And my answer is yes, there is a lever, and that's precision water. I've seen it now I've been doing precision water for close to 8 years. And I think now is the time to be doing this, to really help maximize your inputs and increase your yield and maximize profits as well. So what are the next steps? Well, we're going to reach out to you. If you've registered for this webinar and you're on it right now, we're going to reach out to you in the next 24 hours. Okay. I want to set up a personal one-on-one call with you to learn more about your operation, to find out what has worked, what hasn't worked. If you've tried sensors before, if you've done some sort of irrigation scheduling, I want to know about it. I want to learn about it. And then probably we'll hook you up with one of our local certified dealers. We'll build a success plan. We'll get something implemented for 2021 right now this year. If you've got your phone out, if you want to call us directly, take a picture of this phone number here. You can give us a call. One of us will answer, either John, myself, or our support staff, or another territory manager. But give us a call. Let us know that you're on the webinar, and let them know that you attended the 2021 grower webinar. And we'll be glad to help you out with this year and try to maximize those profits and capitalize on those higher commodity prices. So, John, I'm not sure, did I miss anything there?
No, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Sheldon. Perfect.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for a lot of your time tonight. I really do appreciate it. Stay safe and keep those rows straight. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.